Well, hi there. Welcome to ChessBase Workshop. I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for clicking the link and joining us for this presentation. Continuing our look in ChessBase 11 at the player key that you can access for any database. It's automatically generated every time you add a new game to the database. If that player, one or both of those players, is not already in the player key, they're added automatically. And the way you get to the player key, as we've seen, is double-click on the icon for the database in question. And then when it comes up, of course, you got your game list. We'll go over here. We'll click on the Players tab. And there we are. And you can go to any player you wish. I was fooling around with this earlier this morning, and I clicked on Yasser Seirawan's name. And there's a whole bunch of games here, over 1,500 games in which Yas was a player. And what you can get to, in addition to searching for his white games and black games, as we've seen before, you can get to a player's repertoire. ChessBase will actually build a tree of the player's games. There's some other stuff you can do here as well. One of these buttons at the top says Player Statistic, and I want to show you some of the statistical information that you can pull up with just a click on a particular player. So we're going to pick on Yaz today and have a look at his career based on statistical results. What you got is 3 panes here. We'll start with the left-hand pane. List players. These are all the people that Yaz played against down through the years. And you can sort these games in a variety of ways. If you click the N button, it puts the players in order by sheer number of games that he played against that player. Here we see that he played Jan Tiemann 35 times. He's played Tiemann more than anybody else in the database. By the way, this is a scrollable view. You can click the button and scroll down, scroll back up. But he played 35 games against Jan Tiemann, so we can do it by sheer number of games. We can do it alphabetically, A through Z, sorted by the last name of the player, of course. And then we can click Result. And this is basically statistically how well Yasser did against a particular player. We see at the very top, he played Dmitry Gurevich 11 times and has done well in 10 of those games. The second name, 11 games. He went 9 of 11 against Sergei Kudrin, etc. You can basically sort this list a number of different ways. Number of games, result, or just a straight alphabetical sort. In the middle here is a list of tournaments and events, matches, whatever, just events that Yasser Seirawan participated in. Same deal, you can go by result, essentially how well he did in a particular event. A through Z is an alphabetical listing. Date puts it chronologically by year. And then what's really interesting is if you pick a particular event, let's say the USA Open in 1990, and click Table, you get in a separate window a cross table for that event. In this case, because the event is not complete, there are games missing, we don't get a true cross table, we just get a listing of the players. But if there is a complete cross table available for a particular event, you'll get an actual cross table. There we go. And where it's crossed by how a player did round to round, or if there's a few enough number of players. Of course, there was an enormous number of players in this event, but if there are a few enough players, you actually get a cross table where it's you can cross grid the players. So it's just basically ChessBase just picks the best kind of a display for the number of games and the number of participants in the event. But you can get a cross table by clicking on that table button, which is really cool. Over here, we've got ECO codes and 2 columns. You can sort it 3 different ways: by white games in which Yasser Seirawan had white, by games in which he had black, and these are done by success rate. We'll see that in a minute. The other way is to do it alphabetically by ECO, Encyclopedia of Chess Openings code. Click the code, or click the AZ button, you get the code in order. For example, we see that Yasser Seirawan played the white side of A00 code twice with a 75% success rate. Since there's 2 games, we can do the math without even looking it up. But if you wish, we can go back and check. But there's 2 games, 75% success rate means that he won one time and drew the other one. That's how we get to a 75%. But you get, for white in this column, the left column, and then in the right column for black, you get the number of games and a success rate. For example, A04, he was on the black side of it one time and won the game. That's why it says 100%. The percentages are always from the player's standpoint. Unlike the opening trees where it's from the white viewpoint, this is always from the player's standpoint. So for example, he played A05 one time and did not win that game. He lost the game. A06, we get 2 games, 50%. He played black both times. He may have won one and lost one, or may have drawn both games. We'd have to go in and look at the individual games to find out. So that's a really cool display. I just wanted to show you this because you can get all kinds of interesting material from this particular display. We can bail out of that now when we go up here to an ID card. This shows personal information for the player, and this is especially interesting for chess writers like myself. Sometimes you just want to, you can't remember how old a player is, or you're not aware of that information, or whatever. You just need birth and death dates, whatever. Click the ID card. What that brings up is last name Sirwan, first name Yasser, birthday 1960. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Yasser's birthday and my birthday are dangerously close together, as I recall. But Yasser and I are the same age. If there's a death date, of course, Yaz is still kicking, so there's not one here. But if there is a death date, you'll see that as well. But for guys that are still alive, you get a birthday, and you get the age of the player. It's interesting if it's a player from way, way back. I've seen it give a birthday to death date and how old the player would be if he was still around, which is pretty cool. That way you don't have to do the math. If you want to say, if you're writing an article and Adolf Anderson was born blah, 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 how many years ago, it'll give you that information, and it saves you firing up the calculator. Title, GM. There's all kinds of titles, of course, National Master, International Master, Grandmaster, World Champion, etc. The top rating that player's had and when they achieve that rating, and the country they're from, little flag down here. And as you've noticed, you get a nice little slideshow display that shows the player's picture, and not only the picture, but you also get what year the picture was taken. So the little slideshow will just keep going, and you can bang through it yourself, by the way, by using the arrow keys. You can go, or arrow buttons, I should say. You can go back and forth through the pictures and see how the player's appearance has changed through the years, which is kind of interesting. And down here it tells you the total number of pictures. There are 32 photos of Yasser in here, and this is number 10 of 32. And we can just click through the rest if we wish. There's more to this display, and I want to get to that later. I'm going to show you one more thing, though, before we go, and that's the ELO profile. Nice little graph of how the player's rating has changed down through the years. And of course, you got the old X and Y axis. Those of us who didn't sleep through algebra class, I kept one eye open, so I'm aware of what this is. The X axis is the year. The Y axis is the player's rating. And what this is just a graph. Looks like a stock market graph or something of how that player's rating has gone up and down through the years. You look for a year, and the height of the number, or the height of the line on this graph shows you approximately where they were in their rating. And as we see here, in 1999, Yaz hit his top rating. 99's down here. And it was right here, right toward the end of the year, he ends up with a rating of 2653. So you can get a nice graphical look at a player, the rise and fall of a player's rating. Tells you up here not only the year and month, but we also get the age the player was when he had his best ELO performance. And by the way, that's ELO, not ELO. I'll do this rant one more time. ELO was a band in the 70s, the Electric Light Orchestra. ELO is the rating system named for Arpad Elo, the mathematician and statistician who devised the rating system that we have all come to know, love, and adopt as our actual middle name now. What's your rating? Not what's your name, not where you live, not how are you, not what do you do for a living, but what's your rating? That's how chess players greet each other. So there we are. If you want to get out of this, you just click on it and it goes away and you go back to the ID card. Very simple. I'm not going to click close. Well, I will. Let's click it, and we close it, and we go back to the player list. And by the way, we get some information right in the player list as we've seen before. Last name, first name, total number of games, ELO, the title, whether it's a man or a woman, country of origin, where they're from. If they're from someplace, they're born somewhere else. A lot of people know that Yasser Seirawan was born in Lebanon. So we have a Lebanese flag, but he's a United States citizen, so we have a United States flag here. A little tiny photo of him and the year that he was born. That information is all right here in this player list. So there you go. A little bit more what you can do with the player keys in ChessBase 11. We'll have another cool feature from this list, from the player key, in our next ChessBase workshop. Till then, Have fun.